And here we are back again with special guest Sensei Pedro.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's it going?
Awesome, awesome, man, dude. Thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure, bro. Always.
Thank you for having me, brother. It's always a pleasure, man.
I know you're super busy. You're training in a whole bunch of stuff right now, as usual, right? And then
Yeah,
you
I always
just
keep my plate full.
yeah, yeah, you do. You sure do. And you just got a bronze medal in a
Mm,
BJJ tournament. So big congrats.
thank you. Yeah, it's first BJJ tournament,
Mm,
and finally got the first one out of the way, and I'm continuing training and looking forward to some more.
nice, nice. And this is the crazy thing is you're not even like really going to a BJJ school right now or a BJJ gym. You're actually going to an MMA gym,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's where you entered the tournament, right? They said, hey, let's go do this tournament.
Oh yeah. At that gym, they try to get into as many tournaments as possible. And luckily right now here in our local area we have a whole bunch coming. It seems like there's one each month up until May, if I'm not
Oh
mistaken.
wow.
I think not. There's one at the end of this month, which I may or may not enter.
Okay.
If all goes well, next month, April for sure, I want to do that one. And I think in May or June we have Naga here locally,
That's
and
the
I know
big one.
that's a big one.
Yeah, that's the big one. My goodness. Yeah. Naga's no gi, right?
I believe so, but I want to say they might have some gi, or it might just be all no gi. I think you're right. I think it might be all no gi.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When I competed last month, it was in gi.
Right.
I'm not sure if I'm ready for no gi just yet.
Okay. I guess that depends on your training, your normal training. Are you using a lot of the lapels and the sleeves and stuff, or not really?
I'm exploring the spider guard
Oh,
and
yeah.
like sweeps, with the lapel and the sleeve,
Right.
and obviously when it's nogi, you have to adapt it with your underhooks and
Yes. Yes.
different techniques. But I'm gonna try to start getting in more nogi training
Hmm.
in as well. But right now, I feel a little bit more comfortable with the gi.
Right. Right. No, that's a good way to start. I think it's a little bit slower. You can hold on and stuff like that. But as you found out, though, it takes a wear and tear on the grip.
It murdered my grip by the first match. I had a big old ox of a man that I was fighting, and just the stand up tachiwasa, portion of it, trying to throw each other to the ground. I guess the nerves combined with him being big was just like, it was dead. And then
Oh,
the second match, I got the guy to the ground. I'm on top. I'm winning points. I'm like, okay, now I got to try to go for a submission.
yeah.
Forget about it. My hand was like the whole time. So it's like, nope, not happening.
That's brutal. Tournaments are brutal because you got to keep going. You know.
Oh, dude. Yeah, and I'm like in the white belt, the heavyweight, super heavyweight division,
Yeah.
and so there wasn't a whole lot of us, but in the lower weights, my goodness, man, you're fighting two, three, four times. Who knows, maybe even more. Like it's
Yeah. Four times is doesn't that mean that's like 16 people? Because like 8 people is 3 times, right?
yeah,
To
yeah.
make it to the finals. So 4 times
I mean,
is 16.
that would be brutal, but I mean, if I guess depending on the tournament,
Yeah.
the size of how many people, that might be it. Who
That is a
knows?
lot. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, dude, big congrats. That is so awesome.
Thank you.
So now going from we're talking about combat sport, BJJ, MMA, and now I'm going like the polar opposite. And I wanted to ask you about Aikido, and
Mm.
I sent you the video. Um, that dude is Shioda Sensei's one of his like students, one of his original crew, from Shioda Sensei. And have you seen Shioda Sensei stuff where it just looks inhuman, like a demigod or something? Just
I don't think I have.
okay, you never
Show
seen his
this.
stuff, yeah. Okay, so with this guy, um, I see a lot of Shioda Sensei's movements. What do you think? Especially, you coming from training MMA and BJJ, and then to see Aikido, how did it look like to you?
So what this gentleman was showing, he was talking about Aiki.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because the guy's going for like a regular grab,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just kind of placing his arm there,
Yeah.
and he's manipulating him and throwing him, showing like the body mechanics.
Right.
And I think it's interesting. I think when people look at that, they go, "Okay, well, there's no way you can do this in real life." You know what I mean? Because he's barely even like doing anything. The guy's flipping.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at it in the context of he's just explaining body mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
and like Aiki and like that force. If you look at it in that light, then I mean it's fine. It makes sense. You know what I mean? Obviously, whatever art you do, you don't always train 100% speed or resistance.
Right.
You have to understand the biomechanics and the technique.
Yes.
And so I look at it in that light. Now there is one thing that, even though I'm looking at it in that light, it's still a little bit like, it's whenever like they do like the 2-on-1 or 3 guys versus 1, they all grab them, and
right.
none of them can like throw him to the ground. He's just like does this or whatever, and then
they all fall down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. He's talking about structure, and a lot of traditional like Chinese arts or what have you, they all talk about structure, right? Keeping the spine, straight and whatnot. So I get it. That's all that is. But I don't know that I would show it as a technique that'll defeat 3 other guys. I don't know. I'm making sense right now. Like, I get you're trying to show the biomechanics of it, but then I don't know. I think sometimes it goes a little too far too.
People misinterpret it as, that's how he's going to fight in real life. He could take out 3-4 dudes like that. So people get that impression rather than a practice for mastering biomechanics.
Right.
That's kind of what you're saying. So he's a Japanese dude, I believe 8th degree black belt, and he's speaking in English, right?
Yeah.
And the guys that he's training, I think the foreigners, they're like all military. If I'm not mistaken, and they might even be like special ops and stuff like that, right? And if you notice, like one of the things that he said in the video was, he said like, first you stun the arm, and then that like makes the whole person like stunned, and then you do the technique. Did you see that part?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it would depend on the person, because I mean, if you isolate the arm, like biomechanically, like twisting the wrist to a point where they can't like muscle out of it,
right?
Like that makes sense to me. Okay. Like stunning it that way.
Yeah.
But I guess it depends. I mean, you have to land it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And maybe that's why sometimes in Aikido they say the atemi is the hidden technique.
What do they say? It's like 9. I think Morihei Shiba originally said it's supposed to be 90% atemi. Right? I think that's one of those sayings that they say. But we hardly, from a lot of Aikido schools, we hardly see a lot of atemi being applied.
Yeah, it's more like 10% or less. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking like, okay, if what he was demonstrating, people look at that and they don't have your vision where they go, oh, he's showing and teaching body mechanics. People go, how does he use it in real life? Always we run to that. Everyone wants to go, how is it done in real life? And I agree with you 100% that what he's doing there is not, that's not real life application, because if it was, and if he could take down people that easily, this guy would be the best wrestler on the planet. He'd be the best judo guy on in the history of humankind, right? I mean, dude, if he just go to a judo tournament and he'd be throwing people left and right like that, they wouldn't be able to touch him, right?
Yeah, oh man, he go home with the gold in the Olympics.
In the Olympic easily without even breaking a sweat. So we know that's not true. Okay, so this is, like you're saying, this is a study of perfecting biomechanics. And then the question is, okay, so if that's not true and his knowledge of biomechanics is very high, that's great. How do you use it? In real life?
That is a very good question.
I was thinking that the way for Aikidoka to use their stuff is to use it preemptively. So before the other guy's ready. So it's more like a police going up to a guy and arresting the guy and putting him down, immediately before the guy even gets into a fighting stance or takes out a knife, or before all that, you just go up to the guy and just put the move on the guy. And you could do that because Aikido is non-lethal.
That is true.
So you could do it, it's the first move, and you can't be like, oh, he assaulted me. No, he arrested you.
That is true. And let's say that you're in a position where you can't make the first move. I think that's where then, when you're going into defense, that's where then the atemi would come in, and then to flow into the rest of the techniques, going into the arresting technique or what have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that. I think you made a good point. That it is one of those things where if you get the drop on the guy, and just really quickly sees a wrist, kotegaeshi eshi or sankyo or what have you, and apply the aiki,
right?
You could definitely quickly disable or get rid of that situation.
Right. And I mean, once the fight starts, then we know from it looks like MMA, So
even then, if you're in a full blown fight, I think there's always these moments of, okay, you're in chaos, right? Like when you're grappling or whatever, you're in chaos, you're moving, then you stabilize, right?
Okay.
Because then the guy takes a break or whatever, and I think when you stabilize, that's when you can start applying. Either you go on the counter-offensive, counter-attack, and I think that may be a situation or a point where you can start applying your aiki.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Because it's okay. You have your opening. Maybe you apply the atemi, and then you follow up with the aiki technique, and then go into whatever technique you want to do.
You know how in BJJ we start on the knees, right? And in Aikido they have some of the techniques where you're on the knees, the seiza position. So when I was doing BJJ, I would try to apply that stuff to try to get the better position, so that I'm not immediately just into the guards. I would try to use that, and so I would just keep practicing that. I'm not saying I was successful every time, or and that I was able to, I couldn't throw anybody or anything, but yeah. So I would try. Versus having zero method, because most people that take BJJ, they don't have anything. How do you start from the knees? I don't know. You have judo background, sumo background, so at least you could try to apply some of that from the knees, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Basing yourself, dropping your weight, and it's interesting because you even see Hickson Gracie talking about that. He calls it invisible jiu-jitsu, but if you look at it, he's just saying a lot of stuff sumo guys, kung fu guys, aikidoka, about basing and having proper alignment. And
right.
This is something that unfortunately has been overlooked in a lot of grappling arts like jiu-jitsu or what have you. But it's finding its way into that realm, thankfully.
Yeah.
But I think it's cool with this guy's name was Mori. Is that right?
Could have been. I don't remember, but
the guy with his students being military, I think it's real cool with Aikido how it gets this rep of, oh, it's it's not effective or this or that, but dude, a lot of people, no matter what their background is, whether it was combat sports or hard martial arts, they all, it seems that at some point people get interested in Aikido.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
for one reason or another, and I think because it has something to offer,
Right. Right.
maybe it's just a better understanding of the biomechanics and how to gain and apply Aiki um, into what you already know, and that's something that I always thought was cool about Aikido.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the benefits might be a lot more subtle. Like it's not more like, okay, this technique, that technique. It might be just more like, staying calm or staying centered, good base, like you're saying, good balance. But I mean, that alone is pretty awesome if you think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So like when I was doing BJJ, I remember like in Aikido they said imagine you're holding a cup of tea in the middle of your like a dantian, your center area, right? So when I would get like the mount and stuff, I would imagine that tea there, you know, and try
Ah,
not to spill it.
right. I remember in my Hakyokuken, my Bajishun
Yeah,
Kung Fu, everything was like when you do horse stance, I think it was in Japanese, umadachi,
yeah, yeah. Kibadachi. Yeah,
kibadachi.
yeah.
Um, it was like tuck the tailbone in, spine straight, lean forward a little bit, relax the shoulders, drop it, head here, right? Like, and my teacher would press against my head. He was, no, 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 don't fold it and don't fight it. It has to be relaxed here.
Oh,
All these tiny little things, but it made a huge difference. And I was bigger at that time. I was probably pushing like 290, and he was like 150 something,
right,
160
right.
something. Little dude, and he'd get in it, kibadachi, boom, like this, and he goes, all right, we'll push up against my head, and I push, and no, he'd maintain structure.
Yeah,
So the rooting and all that, it was real impressive. Real impressive. And when you find a way to apply that into your techniques, you have this solid structure, no matter if you're doing Aikido or Kung Fu or what. And it's just, he felt like a tank
right.
whenever he would show me techniques. And man, I just think if you can find a way to apply that to whatever you're doing, Muay Thai, BJJ, whatever,
Yeah,
man, it skyrockets your game, dude.
that's awesome. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just what you're saying, like rooting. People might be like, "What the hell is rooting?" I kind of see rooting as like when someone pushes you, the ability to align yourself to where you're transferring that force down into the ground,
Exactly.
so you don't have to be shoved back. It's just
Exactly.
alignment, is right. That's all it is. But that can be very valuable.
Oh, absolutely. And a buddy of mine is a Tai Chi teacher, and they have this exercise. What was it called? Push hands, I think it was.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Push hands. Yeah, Tai Chi push hands.
Where, you're in your stance, the other guy's in their stance. You lock forearm to forearm. You do like 3 circles,
Right, right,
and then
right,
you go from there.
Yeah.
You have to hold it around, and then everything is like, okay, I'm gonna arm drag it this way. Then they're like, they sink their weight into their hip and they relax the arm. Okay, that's not working. Then they circle out and they start doing it on you. And
Yes.
I remember there was this one structure here, whereas you put both hands like this and you're this way. And you're like, dude, I can't move them. I can't drag them. And I think it was like kind of goes circular and up like that. And man, it's real fun playing with that, man. Real fun playing with that because again, you're taking it to judo or BJJ in the stand-up randori,
right,
tachiwaza stand-up technique, and you notice the difference. Instead of being tense, you relax when you relax. You absorb a little bit, and then you give it back.
Yes.
And you play with it, and it works.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that is. I've been fortunate enough to train with some guys that have done Tai Chi push hands, and they were way good, insanely good, and it was just it's like damn.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely can be beneficial and useful for sure, without a doubt.
100%.
So then let's move on from Aikido to the next one. We saw so we're already at the 20-minute mark. So let me let's go quickly into this one. This is the knife combat one. It was on YouTube. Some dude who was not an expert, he was just starting in knife combat, so using the knife for self-defense. And I sent you the video, and the techniques that he showed were super aggressive. So he's saying this is how you use the knife for self-defense. And it pretty much looked like assault, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
So what the guy was showing was a reverse grip, ice pick grip,
Yes.
and it would start off the sequence. It was a simple little, maybe like 3 or 4 move sequence, and you start off here, and it was like a jab to the eyes. I don't remember if he did it with like a finger jab or the knife jab. Here, hook the hand, then you like circle around. I think there was like stab to the neck or stab to the kidneys. You know, controlling the back, and then maybe like slash out and then get out of there.
Yeah, he grabbed the head and came out the side and punctured the lungs.
Punctured. There we go.
From behind. Yeah.
So very aggressive, very lethal. But look, I think techniques like that are good for like military and just in general life and death situation for anybody who's regular civilian self-defense, because moves like that are very combative in nature, right? And the nature of combatives is like gross motor skills, get in there, get the job done, get out safe to your family, protect your loved ones or what have you.
Right.
So techniques like that are good for, again, just the basic combatives, just to make sure you're up. But now, to get out of a bad situation in life, but now when you go into like a knife fight versus a knife fight, or more of a fencing, dueling situation,
you can't do that.
You can't do that because you're going into the kill zone, and it's like, well, he might be better than you, or he might get the drop on you, or he might be saber grip and he has length on his side, and so many different variables.
Right.
And I think at that point, no pun intended, you would have to have knife fighting skills,
right?
Whether it came FMA, HEMA, fencing, what have you. So I think it's a question of context. I liked what I saw, but it's again just for like somebody who may not have a lot of time to train and they just need something simple.
Yes.
Or maybe just, again, a military situation where they might not have a whole lot of time to train and just give them a simple, effective technique.
So you are, a long-time FMA practitioner, Filipino martial arts practitioner. So from your perspective, some people, because one of the things that have been said is duels don't happen anymore today. The knife fighting doesn't exist today. So why would you learn knife fighting, right? And so what would be your, you said it's context. So then what would you say? Well, no, the context for knife fighting skills is here. Or, what would you say to that?
Well, I've seen plenty of videos, and they used to be on YouTube. I don't know if they still are or not. Of knife duels happening.
Oh, you talking about like real where they're trying to kill each other? Yeah.
Like, there was one I remember from, I want to say, South America, where two dudes are fighting in the street, ice pick grip, sweaters wrapped on the other hand, and they're just trying to stab each other, deflecting with the other. It's a knife duel.
Yeah.
Granted, it doesn't happen often. We don't have that culture here in America. We're not a knife dueling culture in America. But a self-defense situation can quickly turn into a knife duel.
Mm-hmm.
Or, let's say you carry around a pocket knife. Maybe the other guy has a pocket knife, and he pulls it out. You pull yours out, and then, it's...
You're there now.
you're there now. Or he
Yeah.
has a hammer or some kind of pipe. I mean, it's a weapons duel.
Right.
You know, you have a knife, so you know it can quickly turn into that. You know, if somebody does a surprise attack and tries to shank you or what have you, you defend. Okay, you take your weapon out. Now you're in that situation.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 So, uh, for a beginner, do you think they need both skills?
I think like if they have time to train,
Yeah.
you know, and then yes, absolutely. If it's just, hey man, I just need a couple of lessons,
Yeah.
you know, this and that, then I'd give them just the aggressive, pure, you know, like what we saw in the video.
You'd go over that over knife fighting.
I think I would because perhaps, well, actually, you know what?
I'm putting you on the spot, so sorry about that. You know,
No, no, no.
you're free to
No, no,
change your
that,
mind too, of course. So you know.
that's a good question because actually, I think we could turn regular knife fighting and simplify it. Like the knife dueling, well, the combative stuff's already simplified. But I think I could, you could, like, the knife dueling aspect, the art of it, if you will, the martial art of it, you can simplify it.
Yeah.
And just get plenty quick little things. And what I mean by that is, let's say I would define knife dueling saber grip forward, and then I'll say ice pick grip is more combatives,
Right.
right? Close quarter combatives,
Close
aggressive.
range. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you go saber grip, you can teach somebody just a basic parry and thrust, right?
Right.
Or just basic parry and slash. Thrust and then footwork and get out of there. So you can do that. So maybe a simplified version of both.
We're getting into very interesting territory, I think. And now this is, you know, I wanted to cut this shorter, but because you're opening a whole can of worms here. Because in a way, what's the difference? And then one is more like creating openings, whereas the other is more like finishing. So if you look at chess, there's the opening game and then there's the finishing game. These are two different games we're talking about. You know what I mean?
Right.
So then for a beginner, which one is more essential? To create an opening or just, you know, go for the finish?
Well, I think, you see, because here's the problem. Like, if it's a knife on knife thing, which I mean, actually, you know what? I think I would probably say I'd go with creating the opening, like using the saber grip, the knife fighting art, because if you're using a knife against somebody, it's because, I mean, your life's in danger.
Yeah.
So they already have a knife or some kind of weapon or something. So I think.
Do you need to finish the guy?
Probably so.
You do need to finish the okay.
Well, hang on. Well, I mean, ideally, if you can defang the snake, right? You know, okay, you nullified the threat, and you can get out of there. He's no longer a threat.
I think this is what happened in Japan back in the day when karate versus boxing, right? So karate had the kill shot, right? The one hit, one kill kind of thing, right? So they would just train that. They would make their hands into a weapon, and they wanted that power shot that would drop a guy with one hit, right? The boxer guy, you know, is ready to go 12 rounds. And so he's using the jab. So the jab is like a completely new concept for the karate guy, right? Who, you know, don't even, because jab is almost like you hit first, right? And then karate, you've heard the saying, we don't hit first, right? There's no first hit in karate kind of thing, but we got the kill shot kind of thing. So then the karate would be the finisher. Boxing is more the looking for the openings that kind of the setups and stuff like that. And then what they found out when they fought in the ring, that the boxer, I think, had the advantage when they did those fights back then.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Now, my thing is like, well, if you're taking somebody who only has limited amount of time for training,
Yeah.
how do you give them the most bang for their buck?
Yeah, because what I mentioned was ring right now. It was a are you ready? Are you ready? Go kind of thing. You know what I mean? So yeah,
Exactly.
that's a little different from a street where you're assaulted or something.
And then so that's why I think, that's why I mentioned. I think I still think that with the combatives aspect, because again, it's gross motor skills and it's pure aggression, and sometimes that's all you need.
Right.
To come out of that situation alive. I mean, whether you have a year to devote to learning knife fighting or a week, um, the point is you're gonna get cut. You're gonna get stabbed.
Right.
Knife confrontation. I mean, everybody in FMA says it, it's true. So I think I would probably, if I only have a week to train somebody, I'd give them like a combative.
You still go with combatives. Yeah, yeah. Well, you say combatives. It's called combatives for a reason. The military, they have a limited time, and that's how they teach it. So
Exactly.
yeah, I think there is a method to the madness there. Anyway, man, I know we could keep going and going, but we're pretty much at the 30-minute mark, so I better reluctantly shut it down right here. So thank you so much for the discussion.
No, absolutely. Thank you, man. Thank you for making me think on that last one. It's like what I mean? You have to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, always a pleasure once again, and yeah, we're gonna keep looking forward to your progress and your tournaments and stuff like that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. No, always a pleasure, brother. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, and good luck with your training, and keep at it, bro. All right.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you all for joining us. wmpyr over and out. Laters.